Hi everyone, so today we'll do a stock analysis on Archer Daniels Midland Company, ticker ADM, and it's an American multinational food processing and commodities company. Quick disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor, this is my own research, up to you to make your own decision. So as usual, we will start with a company profile, then we go with a fundamental analysis, looking at the insider trading as well. Then we do a technical analysis, then we do a price catalyst. In this case, it would be the commodity in general. And then we end up with a conclusion. So let's start to talk about the company. So it engaged in the procurement, transportation, storage, processing, and merchandising of agricultural commodities, ingredients, flavor, and other solutions. It's pretty much a global company. It operates in 3 segments, so we get bit more detail after, which is AG Services and Oilseeds, Carbohydrate Solutions, and Nutrition. And it's been founded in 1902, so it's quite a long-term company. It's been around for ages, and it's based in US. So here is a little bit more detail. It's so broad that I don't want to get too much, but just to get you an idea of, there is like human nutrition in general, animal nutrition, it's used as well in like industrial biosolution, pet nutrition, and then they do even different services. And I think one of those is like it's even offer like future commission merchants and brokerage service. So there seems to be a little bit more than just like taking raw material and stuff. They just as well offer like kind of banking services, close to it, I would say, at least. So this slide was meant to be for another purpose, but I thought that was very good because it shows all the steps. And if my understanding is right, so they are not part of the land, so they don't take care of this part, which is the farmer part. They are more like the companies around like transportation, processing, and like I'm not sure about the product portfolio and not sure about the packaging, but basically it's all the intermediates, I would say, overall it's included between the farmer and the customer. So I would say they are kind of in between, if that makes sense. So here are the 3 main segments that I was talking about earlier. So AG Services, Oilseed, and Nutrition. And like in here it kind of shows a little bit what I was showing before. So the customer is here, and then like they would take care of all the intermediary things, which is like storing, like sales, export, marketing, transportation. Then they will do like preparing like meal, vegetable oil, like flour, like all these products. And then like all sort of nutritions for animals, whatever. Like it's so broad, but yeah, here you get an idea. So this is actually a slide that I found, a presentation on their website, which shows pretty much the whole 3 segments. So this is the AG Services and Oilseed. I will not go through it too much, but just show you that they have the service on export, all like that. Then pretty much like crushing, refined product, and then Wilma. You can pause and have a look. It's like so broad. And this is the segment 1 only on all the like pretty much the countries that are involved with this segment only. So then we have the segment 2. So this one is Carbohydrate Solution. So this is like starches, sweeteners, flavors, corn dry meals. It gives you an idea of what kind of food they're preparing basically. And again, segment 2, these are the countries involved, so it's pretty broad: China, part of Europe, and then North America. And then we have the 3rd segment, which is the nutrition. So it's all the flavors, colors, other ingredients like specialty, and then health and wellness. I mean, like you can pause and have a look as well. Again, very broad. But just wanted to show you. And finally, this is all the countries involved as well for that nutrition part, which is pretty much like the whole world, like Southeast Asia, Europe, all America, and then part of Africa. So I know that was a little bit like boring, let's say, because there was so much to even show, so I just briefly show all that. But the main thing I want to come is that like is that which revenue come from which segment. And like the thing that I noticed is that segment 1 has nearly 60%, which is the AG Services and Oilseeds. The second is 33, which is the Carbohydrate Solution, and then the last one is only 10%. So I would say the first two are the main one, most important, and the first one is actually the service part is around 20%, to give you an idea. So it's still a commodity stock, but it has some 20% services. I like how it's divided, to be honest. It's pretty safe, make it more safe and reliable. I'm sure the company is more consistent that way. And this is pretty much all the merging and acquisition they've done in the past 10 years. It seems more acquisition, but look at that. I mean, it's huge. I can't even go through it again. They're so diversified. So that is positive and negative, obviously, but I quite like it in a sense. So now let's talk about the fundamentals. So the market cap is around 23 billion, which is like a bit bigger than I tend to see, but still fairly interesting in my opinion. Then the forward P of 11 and like P of 13, it gives you an indication that it's a little bit more expensive than I tend to look at. And then price to sell, price to book, all that is fairly reasonable in my opinion. Even price to book of 1, not very cheap, but I quite like the pricing. I mean, how much it worth right now is not too bad. Then the return, nothing really crazy, to be honest. The revenue is look like quite good enough, like 2 billion in the past year, and that is around 12 billion with a cash of 900 million. So there's quite a bit of debt, and I would say the leverage free cash flow, I would say a bit concerning of paying back all that debt fast, so it will take a while. Then we have the floats or the insiders are very low, but the institution are a bit higher. And then there's a bit of people shorting it actually. And the dividend is 50%, around 4%. Nothing crazy, but I would say that's kind of look like a blue chip kind of company to me up to now. So I think this is always an interesting point to look at when they have that in their slides. So it's just to show what they do with their operating cash flow. So they pretty much reinvest 30 to 40% of it, and then they might grow or distribute dividends or others around 60 to 70%, to give you an idea. And then so that could come the distribution of shareholder with share repurchase and dividend, and then the other one, reinvestment, is pretty much acquisition from what we've seen. I'll go briefly in that one, but I thought it was nice that they were showing all these pretty much each segment is shown in here. So I mean, in 2024 you can see the nutrition, which what I say was nearly 10%. This one was 30 something, and then this one 60. So you can see the representation here over the past 10 years. I find that really good. And you can see that in 2022 there were a peak, and then that represent here and there. And to me, that's the peak of the commodity first cycle that I was talking in some other videos, that peaked in 2021, 2022. And you can see that it's definitely following that as well. So here is a chart representation of pretty much their balance sheet, and there is very little to talk about, but the fact that, as I said, there were quite a bit of debt, so you can see it there. It's a bit higher compared to equity. Kind of prefer less debt, but maybe that's the only way for them to grow. Then I would say that the current assets, it's very stable and there's nothing to talk about. It's good. and like same for the debt, cash, and equity. So they have quite a bit of equity, but quite a lot of debt too. So yeah, that's the thing that I would come back to. So other fundamental just representation. So you can see that the revenue peaked in 2022, and then like you can see that the earning is quite tiny compared to their revenue. So that's how they work. I quite think this is a bit small margin, so yet it works that way. And then like the cash flow, it's going down, but I think it's because of the cycle since 2022 has been going downhill in the whole commodity sector. And then like at least the capex stays stable, which is good. And the thing that I noticed is the fact that the share issued has been reduced, like they were mentioning. So this is nice to see that they've followed what they said on the presentation over the past few years. So as an insider activity, you can see that the CEO has actually owned 89 million of share, 89 million in size and then 1.9 million share at current price. So I would say it's not much out of the 22 billion, but it's still like a large number for CEO, obviously, because the company is quite big. So it's fairly like he's definitely incentivized to do well. And then like a lot of other directors have shares too, way less, but still like some have reasonable number. And but the thing that I noticed the most is no one is really buying. They're just getting shares, like they're pretty much getting awards to get shares, and then after they sell them, like not all the time, but you can see that there's no buying. There's mainly like acquiring like awards share and then slowly selling them. So I would say it's not ideal, but you know, like if it works, it works. I would prefer someone buying, obviously, but at least it shows they have a bit of skin in the game. So now let's look at the long-term technical analysis of ADM. I really like the fact that since the 1970s, they've been just going up. Very stable company, which is what I tend not to look at most of the time. And what I've noticed as well is that they keep like breaking on the upside, but recently 21 and 2 they broke pretty hard, and then now they're testing back where they broke from. So I quite like this price at the moment, and let's see in the daily how it looks like. So this is the same chart, ADM on the daily, the stock price. So in here it's going down since 2022, and then now it's slowly finding the bottom. So as I said, it's back to where it broke last time, and then like here it's kind of putting some sort of bottom. Then it got like liquidity in there, then started break. And what I would want to see is some other like break like this, like showing pretty like a little more intention. But at this price we can already think it's reasonable and undervalued fairly as well. So yeah, I'd say it's not a bad time to look. So for that one I actually used a very general commodity index tracking fund. It's just that I don't know what else to pick, so I picked that one. And you can see from like 2022 the peak there, and then since then going down. So it's really following that one pretty well, which is pretty much all the commodities in general, to be honest. They all done something fairly similar. And the difference though in here is that they're not seeing any like break, so it looks like still going down. So that's the thing that I'd love to see, a little nicer break on the upside before I get way more excited. But I would say it's definitely a good time to look overall for that one. So as a conclusion, I would say that first of all, it was very interesting to look at companies like that. It's a bit different. I find that that company was very stable, that I'd say that they're very diversified as well, so it makes it easier for them to sustain the downturn or some difficult time. You can see, even though that there is a bit high, I still think they could really manage fairly well. The insider ownership is a bit low, and insider are definitely selling, but I would say at least they have skin in the game. So that may be how they manage their reward. As long as it doesn't affect too much the shareholder returns, it's fine with me. And I would say that the chart of ADM actually looks very good. Usually cyclical stocks like commodity stocks are very like unstable, goes up so much and down so much. This one is actually not as bad because maybe of their acquisitions. So I quite like that. It's a plus. And the technical analysis on the commodity in general is still on downtrend, and the stock a little bit too on short term. Hopefully it's finding a bottom, but there's no confirmation. Would the tariff be impacted by this one? I have no idea, but I would say maybe. So I can't tell, but I just bring that up because it's a very global company and they are in the US, so I wonder how would they be affected. And then the commodity in general is still bearish, so because of that there's a risk as well that it continued to fall. So that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed the video and see you in the next one.